Hey everyone, UEBS 2 Hub here, and in this battle, we have a battle of the huge and devastatingly powerful animals. We have 5,000 elephants in one corner, as you can see there are plenty, versus 15,000 grizzly bears, although they have a little bit of a cartoon model, but that is still very good looking. So that being said, let's start the battle here and see exactly who wins. Of course, the elephants are a little bit stronger. However, there are far more grizzly bears than there are elephants. And as you can see, the battle's already being waged. That's not a dead elephant, by the way. He's just kind of playing a little bit. That's just how the modeling works. But it looks like the elephants are slaughtering the grizzly bears. However, once this first line of elephants starts going down, we might see a little bit more equality in how many are being killed. Now, this is a lot of elephants, right? And actually, I tried doing this with like 2 or 3 times as many animals on screen, but the problem was the matches just took way too damn long. So after this, as you can see, after this, what I will be doing, and it'll just be like 10-15 seconds just so you guys can see. I'll just show you guys elephants and grizzly bears as far as the eye can see. I'll just kind of start up like a 15-second battle at the very end of this one. Whoever wins this, and you know, we can see how, I don't know, like 300,000 grizzly bears look versus 100,000 elephants or something. You know, it'd be pretty wild. Anyways, as you can see, the grizzly bears have started to catch up. Now, even though they have fewer kills than the elephants, the thing is, they also have far more elephants, if that makes any sense. Like, there are a larger portion of elephants dead than there are grizzly bears, which I'm actually really surprised about. We already have over 10% of the elephants gone. Meanwhile, even though... So it's a little bit weird. The elephants do have a bit of splash damage, which is why we see some inconsistency here. So it says that there are something like 800 grizzly bears killed from the elephants, or that the elephants have 800 kills. Meanwhile, it's showing that there's only 13,600 grizzly bears left. The reason for that inconsistency of a few hundred grizzly bears difference, I guess you could say, versus the kills from the elephants is simply because the way that the game registers kills is that splash damage is basically like, let's say if this elephant hits this grizzly bear and then kills this one via splash damage, it's going to count against the grizzly bear, so it'll show one fewer troop remaining. However, it's not going to count for the elephant, if that makes a level of sense. So that being said, we have the elephants starting to flank around. They have overwhelmed the weak side of the grizzly bear, and if they can take this over, then they can actually start to win here. Really, this battle might be won on the flanks, even though there are far fewer elephants than there were initially. This might be won on the flanks, and I think a big reason why we're seeing at this point the elephants kind of losing compared to the grizzly bears, even though, again, the elephants have more kills than the grizzly bears, but as a proportion of the total amount alive, grizzly bears are winning. I think the reason, one of the big reasons, is because you basically have like 2 or 3 grizzly bears fighting against one elephant at a time. And that is really laying the hammer down. Even though the elephants have more damage, a substantial amount more health, they are being beaten, I think, because of the size of the grizzly bear in some respects. It's kind of weird to think about, but I think that might be what we're seeing here. So it looks like we have just about half of the elephants left. We have yet to see the flanking maneuver take place. I feel like if the elephants had a few hundred more, or if they were a slightly wider front line, we may be seeing this succeed, but unfortunately, at least unfortunately for them, we are not yet. But you have a lot of deceased elephants back here. That is crazy. But the thing is, they are pushing up. They are pushing the line up against the grizzly bears, so they are still doing work against them. But here we have it. It looks like this is a bit more successful of a flank than it was on the other side. So we might see something come from this. And if this side starts to succeed in terms of their flank, we might see something come from that as well, which would be tremendous. So let's go over here. I may even fast forward a little bit. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Of course, I'm always interested to see your opinions. But actually, yeah, it looks like we are starting to see a successful flank take place here because they do not have enough grizzly bears to start to replace the ones that are being lost in the flanking attack. So once these guys are encircled, that could be something. I'm not sure if the elephants have enough. Maybe if they had another 500 or even another 1,000, this might be a bit more competitive. But it looks like they just have just few enough to be able to have this work. But who knows? Who knows? But as I was saying, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Typically, I don't really like doing very long gameplays. So, if you guys have any ideas about that, let me know. But, yeah, I'd rather just fast forward through some of the parts, let the battle progress, because you guys want to see what happens, but I'm sure you guys don't want to watch a 30-minute video, you know. But that said, let's get up a little bit close here and get into, let's say, like this. So that's his battle cry. I don't know if you guys can hear it. So it kind of sounds like they took the T-Rex battle cry, I think, and they put that sound file into the grizzly bear, which is pretty cool, actually. It sounds pretty nasty, like pretty mean. Meanwhile, it sounds like they just kind of put like some generic human voice, like the Roman cavalry, into the elephants. But it looks like the front lines of the elephants have broken. The grizzly bears, being that, of course, they fight in army ways, they are now winning, and they are starting to take over. So it looks like the grizzly bears may win this. I'm actually kind of surprised, especially by how much. But I guess it makes some level of sense here, being that we have so many grizzly bears. But one thing, again, that I did not take into account is how many grizzly bears simply could just fight an elephant at a time. It's just, these elephant models are so large, whereas the grizzly bear models are so compact that you're just seeing 2, 3, sometimes 4 grizzly bears fighting an elephant at once, which, even though they have inferior stats versus the elephants, they're still beating the elephants, I think, partially because of their size and relative power. Pretty damn cool. Not something I ever would have considered, but here we are. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, and we can see how this progresses throughout. And I might just fast forward here, because at this point, all those elephants, by the way, down there, I think are dead. They just have to model being felled or whatever. Or maybe they are still alive. I'm not entirely sure. But let's just go ahead and zoom out a touch. Or maybe even zoom in. And just kind of fast forward this. And just see exactly what this looks like a little bit faster. Because it is very interesting. This is the end of the elephants. We can just zoom fast forward for a few seconds here while this all takes place. So here we have it, the last 130 elephants, and they are basically falling with the camera. Pretty wild, right? Like, as I move the camera, the line is getting thinner and thinner, basically as I'm moving closer and closer. This is just crazy, in my opinion. Meanwhile, all those elephants are gone down here. The grizzly bears have taken over, and now we are starting to see the final flank versus the elephant forces. These are the remaining elephants left in the world. And it is just brutal. Like, look at this. Pretty sad. $50 left. And honestly, I did not think it would be like this. The elephants have sufficiently stronger stats, plus a much better splash damage. So I think the grizzly bears have some level of splash damage, but not a ton versus the elephants. And I really thought that the elephants would have done substantially better than they did. But I think once the grizzly bears started to surround the elephants, that's when we started seeing the massive incongruity between the kills of the elephants and the grizzly bears. You know, about 6,000 grizzly bears were killed. Meanwhile, of course, 5,000 elephants were killed. So still, the elephants took out more than their fair share. You know, more than a one-on-one. But it just wasn't sufficient. So that said, let's just kind of zoom out here, see what this looks like. Pretty damn violent. That's what I guess 9,173 grizzly bears looks like. You never want to be in the middle of that because that would be absolutely terrible, terrifying. But let's go ahead and just kind of do one real quick glance at, like, I don't know, 10 times this many animals and see what happens. See what this looks like. So here we have it. We have 450,000 grizzly bears and 150,000 elephants. Oh my gosh. So, of course, you know, I'm not going to play this sim because I tried sims that were even a fraction of this size and they took 30, 40, 50 minutes just to try to do. Like, I would leave the computer running and just see exactly how long it would take to play out. But, yeah. This is what they all look like fighting each other, just so you guys can see, because I'm sure you guys wanted to see this many animals duking it out. Huge battle. This is just wild. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Please, if you don't mind, like, comment, subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. But this is just... Can you imagine this? Absolutely wild. Anyways, thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. If you ever see this, just go the other way. Take care, everyone.